Hey, welcome back. In this video we're going to talk about frustrations, RV frustrations. And there's a lot of videos out there right now talking about how it's not a good time to buy an RV, how the RV industry isn't keeping up with the demand, and that might have been a little earlier on in the summer. But now I'm starting to notice that there's just a lot of frustrated RVers out there. So we want to address 10 things that folks get frustrated about when it comes to RVing. You're going to want to stick around to the very end, because our 10th one, well, that's something that really frustrates us
a lot,
probably the most. Okay, so let's dive right in. So frustration number one is RV issues. If you are an RVer, you know that you're driving an earthquake, and it doesn't matter if it's a travel trailer, a fifth wheel, or a Class A coach. Things rattle and roll as they're going down the road, especially if you're on I-90. So you have got to understand that things are going to get loose. They're not going to, things are going to break. And if you're not willing to do minor repairs yourself on an RV,
it's not for you.
RVing's not for you. So just quit while you're ahead, because you just need to understand that it is going to be frustrating when you arrive at a campground and furniture is not where it was supposed to be.
And you open a cabinet and it kind of tilts because the screw is coming out.
Right. You just have to tighten that stuff up. All right. Frustration number two: too much work packing up, setting up, and taking down. Now, we came from the world of tenting. And we used to always look at the RVers and go, man, that looks like a lot of work.
Yeah, guess what?
And now we do it.
Swamped.
But now that we do it, I look at the tenters and go, man, putting away stuff wet.
Yeah, and just having everything outside in tubs.
When you're stacking bins and stuff next to the picnic table.
And you're getting in and out of the car.
Yeah. So I guess it's a trade-off. Yeah, there is a lot of work to it. But once you get your rhythm or get your routine down, it's really not that bad. But it can be frustrating to some people. Hard to get repairs done and cost. And that is a big one right now, especially since the market was saturated and everybody and their brother bought an RV this last year. Now, everybody's getting their RVs fixed, minor repairs done, inspections done, and maintenance done. And so it is a little bit difficult to get your RV fixed. Now, here's what I would say about that. You don't have to take it to the dealer. You could take it to anywhere that fixes trailers. Anybody that works on chassis, axles, wheels, brakes,
right,
they'll do that kind of stuff. Now, when it comes to fixing, some of the stuff above the frame, you might have to take that to an RV repair shop, but it doesn't have to be a dealer. So do your homework and be flexible. We're going to get our bearings packed here on the 31st. Well, we're taking off and we're going to be out on the road until the 30th. And so I just took the first available date and I took the first available time. And it's early in the morning when other people don't want to, get in there. So
it works for us.
If you can be flexible and you're willing to go outside of the dealers and the traditional ways of getting an RV repaired, you can get it done. Okay.
The next one, Jerry.
It's a doozy.
Ooh, fuel cost.
That's right.
Since January, fuel's been going sky high, and that's all we've been hearing about. is instead of $2.40, now we're paying almost $4. Well, for us, because we're diesel, but I think it's gas also.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So I mean, there's ways around it, but here's all I have to say about fuel cost. It is what it is, and if you want to use your RV, you got to put fuel either in your tow vehicle or in that monster of a coach that you have, or stay home. We can complain about it, but it's not going to change it. So it is what it is, and we're not going to make a political statement. But it was nice the last couple of years when we were paying lesser fuel cost. But again, it is what it is. And it is extremely frustrating to pull up to the pump and pay what we're paying for fuel. I will tell you that we use the TSD card.
Yes, saves us money.
And it saves us money. And we also acquire points through like Fred Meyer, Kroger. And so we use those points also when getting fuel. The other thing that we use to fight the fuel cost is Gas Buddy. And we don't have the Gas Buddy card, but we do use the Gas Buddy app. And we are willing to drive out of our way to pay
20 cents less.
Right.
You know,
I mean, as long as it's not ridiculously out of our way.
Right.
I'm not going to pay $5 to save 20 cents.
Correct.
But we do look for the lowest fuel cost, and brand loyalty has gone completely out the window when it comes to putting fuel in our vehicle. We just go wherever it's the cheapest. So that's that, and that's a doozy. That is super frustrating.
All right, next one. We've been finding that people have said it's hard to find an RV right now, and they're spendy.
Right. I mean, you drive by the RV lot, especially out here in the West, and they're empty. You know, any of the lots are just struggling to get inventory in. And it's starting to get a little bit better now. But, you know, when manufacturing got shut down, that really slowed the inventory push out to the dealers. Now, we went out to like Wyoming and Utah, and there seemed to be lots of inventory.
Yeah, when we'd pass on the freeway, there's...
So maybe everybody in Utah already had an RV?
Could be in Idaho.
And Idaho had lots.
Lots.
They're out there, but you might have to go find them. But by and large, every RV lot that we drive by is really short on inventory. And because of that, supply and demand, you're going to pay a premium for an RV that you would have got at much better rates 2 years ago or a year ago.
Yeah.
So I know that's frustrating, and I know people want them now, but it might be worth waiting. But who knows?
Yeah.
It might not get better, so you might just have to be frustrated
and suck it up.
And suck it up and just get your RV. If you're interested, I have one that may be for sale.
No, we already have a seller.
Oh, that's right. We already have it. Never mind.
All right.
Call me if you're really interested, though.
The next one is what?
Seasonal campers take up too many sites. Now, that's a frustration for me, but I also understand that there's a need to have seasonal sites at the campgrounds. I just wish that the campgrounds would do a better job of managing where the seasonals are and why they get to take up all the really good sites. You know, because we've been at sites where they just cram you in, and then you look over there and the seasonals have their decks and their flower pots.
And they've got a beautiful view. It's like
beautiful views and their 100-gallon propane tanks. And they're, you know, it's a frustration of mine. It might not be one of yours. And for those of you that are full-time, I get it. if you're a full-time traveling RVer, this might be an issue for you too, because you're not living at a campground like the ones with the decks and the flower pots and stuff.
They're not there permanently.
Right, but the seasonals, it drives me crazy that they do take up the premium sites and they get all the best views. I don't know. It seems to me it's an easy fix. It's just how they're managing the campgrounds. All right. It's just frustrating. Folks, who's with me? Put that in the comment section below.
Crowded parks go into crowded streets and highways.
Right, now that everybody's got an RV.
Yeah, they're just traveling all over. I mean, even when we were on our long trip, there was always, within a mile, there's at least 3 or 4 campers going by.
Now, this could be frustrating for some people. I personally think it's great that people are getting out there and using their RVs. I absolutely think it's wonderful to see the campgrounds full. I think it's wonderful that people are packing up the family and going on adventures.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
But it does mean that the roads are pretty crowded, especially for most timers like us, part-time most time. Sundays, boy, I tell you what, Sunday travel is a nightmare sometimes.
Sometimes.
You know, because just it's RVs just, you know, all trying to get up hills and go over the mountain.
Well, tomorrow we will be leaving the beach and we will be in the line to...
Yeah, well, and that's why we're staying till Monday.
No, it's a 3-day weekend, so everybody's there till Monday.
See what I mean? It's frustrating. The roads are crowded.
He forgets.
Yeah, you know. The next one is probably the most controversial one that we're going to talk about. And that is, with the current Rona restrictions, they're super frustrating for once you get to a campground, what do you do once you get there? Because things are closed, attractions are closed, size of the groups are restricted.
Well, and we've noticed a lot of, like, if we go out to dinner, there's not a lot of staff. The staffing is way low. I don't know if you guys have noticed that or not, but the places that we've been, not a lot of staff to...
Right. And I'll say it. I mean, the government's paying people to stay home. I get it. I understand why restaurants and things of that nature are understaffed. So it's frustrating. It's very frustrating when you go to a destination spot and you know, and like when we were on the big caravan and we had 8 of us, but they only allow 6 at a table, you know, or, you know, things like that.
Or things were closed. We'd go to a museum and the museum is closed
because
of COVID.
Right. So it's very frustrating, and that's all we'll say about that. Okay. Our next one is all of the extra cost. You know, you have to buy insurance. You have to get all the accessories. You got to keep up with the trailer. You know, you're going to constantly, you know, do those repair costs and whatnot.
Tires, waxing, or...
Right. I mean, roof repairs, just all of the other costs, not to mention keeping up with all the cool gadgets that the cool guys have. So that's super frustrating because those kinds of things, it starts adding up. Mm-hmm. You know, you get to a campground and your sewer hose is too short. Now you got to go get a longer sewer hose. Or
the water hose is not
the water hose. So all of those accessories, all of those things start, you know, taking its toll on the pocketbook, and that can be frustrating too. It is what it is because you got to have it. But again, it is a frustration that RVers have.
All right, we got to get closer for this. Number 10, our most frustrating thing.
But before we talk about number 10, I want to thank everybody for coming along our journey with us. We really appreciate each and every one of you that subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate those of you that watch the channel, and we would encourage you to hit that little subscribe button. Don't forget, it's free. It doesn't cost you a dime. It might cost you a little bit of time to watch us, go on about RVing.
Yep.
But we want to share our experience with you so that you might get the most out of your RV. So here's number 10. Number 10 is
reservations.
Reservations.
Not getting them. At least in Oregon, we can only go up to 6 months, where before we could go to 9 months. So that's very frustrating, since we like to schedule out our trips, and because we usually go with a couple other groups of people. So it's just frustrating that there's not enough room.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes with the fact that a lot of people have RVs now. And so, because of restrictions and whatnot, like Teresa said, the state of Oregon went from you could book
9 months.
9 months out to 6 months out. And at one point, it was month to month.
Yeah. So,
and so everybody's on there trying to get reservations. And I get it. And again, I just said we want to encourage you to use your RV. So we want you to use your RV. But it is frustrating that it's getting harder and harder to make reservations, to get reservations when you want. And you really have to be on top of it. Luckily, I have a built-in secret weapon. And she is on top of it. If it is 9 months, then exactly at the minute that the clock ticks over, she's there getting going on getting reservations. We did find that it was a little bit easier to get into private parks than it was to get into state parks. KOAs have been
pretty good. They've been pretty good. There's been a couple that, especially during like a holiday, summertime.
Yeah.
It's just
they're booked out.
Unless you do it a year or two in advance.
A lot of the military campgrounds went to a first come first serve basis, which drives me nuts, especially if you're traveling far distances, because and so we've also found that one of the ways to get around some of the reservation stuff is to use Harvest Toast.
Yes. To
fill in some gaps where needed, especially when traveling distances. You're restricted to a night, maybe two, but the Harvest Toast seems to we haven't had any issues at all getting into Harvest Toast.
Yeah.
So that is the most frustrating thing for us and the people that we like to travel with. Just getting in to a campground and getting those reservations made is very frustrating. Hey, if you found any of these frustrations of ours to be something that you're frustrated with, go ahead and leave us a comment. Let us know that, you're frustrated too.
Or if there was one that we didn't say, put it in the comments.
Yeah, what frustrates you the most? We're really curious. With that, we're going to go ahead and be frustrated because I got to get the trailer loaded because we're leaving.
All right,
See ya. Stick around all the way to the end because you're going to want to know what we came up with for our 10th frustration. It's something that it's frustrating. What?
I'm so sorry.
What?
You just look like you're trying to make shit up as you go.
I am making shit up as I go.
Well, it's